This is being recorded, so you can always go back to catch the information from the archives. All right, well, it is 5 after, so let's review what I have to offer you on what I consider to be an outstanding recommendation to improve your comprehension when you're reading materials that are challenging because they either have new concepts, new terms, filled with a lot of technical jargon. They're dense, like just really thick with information. There's not a lot of enjoyment in this kind of reading that I'm describing, except for the enjoyment of learning, right? Which we obviously, clearly, if, oh, I just lost you, Jackie. Gosh darn, maybe that's what's going on there. Oh, there you are again, Jackie. Great. So, but yeah, so we have the ability to be able to improve the way that we read materials that are more challenging to read. All right. So, and it's called the SQ3R method. A little bit about me. Oh, there, Jackie, I see you're having some struggles, huh? Well, I hope that you're able to stay in. Um, and again, don't get too stressed about it, all right? It is being recorded, but I appreciate your efforts to stay in. Okay, so yeah, I see that, and I see that you're having a little bit of instability. I think that maybe whatever's going on is affecting. Because in the last hour or two, people said, "I'm going to be there." I'm expecting 5 other people, so I don't understand this. Yeah. Oh no, I'm going to do this. No, 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 and no. You are important enough to me, and I mean that. I am not being at all sarcastic. You individually are important enough for me to do this because I really feel strongly that this is very valuable, and I hope that you will also find it valuable and take advantage of it. So I appreciate very much the sentiment there, and thank you so much for saying that. But no, you're valuable enough for me to take the time to do this. So yeah. All right. So a little bit about me. I covered this last time, but I have a BS in management and marketing. Yes, Jackie, that's the attitude to have. This is going to be valuable, right? You recognize that you need it. And I always love to say that when somebody recognizes that they have a problem, it's not like, I've heard of argued with other people where they say, well, I don't ever say I really need something or that this is a problem for me or a challenge because that kind of makes me feel like I'm whining. No, the first step of solving any type of a challenge, and I really hesitate to even use the word problem, but a challenge. The first step of solving a challenge is recognizing it. How can you move forward, right? And have a plan if you don't know how to address it and you don't know what the issues are. So, recognizing that is an excellent step in the process of resolving it. All right, so I have a BS in Bachelor of Science in Management Marketing from Indiana University, an MBA in International Business from Portland State University, and a Project Management Professional Certification from the Project Management Institute. I am currently in the doctoral program at Colorado Technical, and hopefully I'll have my doctorate by, I think it's like March of 2020. So not next year, but soon after. So a matter of less than 2 years from now. And then my background is I have a very eclectic background in my work experience. And I have been with Coca-Cola, Johnson and Johnson, Intel, and a nonprofit called Portland Food Drive. Well, thanks. Yeah, and I like being in school. So, and also when I'm in school, I am more empathic with my students. Does that make sense? It's not been so long that I forgot what it was like. So I'm appreciating just having the opportunity. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so SQ3R, it's all about reading. Lots of stuff here. I like this this graphic because it's got those little sticky notes. I mean, this person is clearly a very productive person. They've marked things. They're looking for specialties. They're looking for information that is pertinent. Oh, and I put this on top of my time management graphic. Look, you can see a little bit of the clocks. It actually goes along with it, though, doesn't it? The clocks and time management go along with completing assignments and reading so that you're not repeating yourself. How many times have I started really challenging materials in books or, oh, some of those articles in the library where, I'm reading and I'm going, I just read this 5 times. I still am no closer to understanding what it means. And that's because that's the wrong approach. So I'm going to show you the right approach. Oh, it's difficult just to complete it, let alone at the level and quality that you may want to complete certain things, right? It's not just getting it done, it's getting it done not only on time, but at a level of quality that's satisfactory. Hey, Nicole, great. Did you have trouble getting in? Because I know there's supposed to be now at least 4 other people that said they're coming to this, notified me in the last 2 hours or so. And so I know that there must be something going on, yeah, with the server connectivity. But yeah, so that was not my intention to show those little clocks, but okay, it does fit. All right, what is SQ3R? SQ3R is an efficient reading comprehension method. And I'm going to say one more time, I am personally recommending this. When I switched to this method, I found it to be not only an extreme, very significant increase in my productivity, okay, in my effectiveness, in my time, so in time management, but I found it to be something that helped me to retain the information. And I'm wasting a lot less time when I'm learning new things. All right. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Nicole, that you had that frustration. I was able to tape from the beginning, so feel free, if after it's done, you're going to have to wait at least, until 8 p.m. CST time before the archive is available, but feel free to go back and then review. And feel free, if you guys don't have my email address, here it is, univ.edu. So feel free to write to me at any time, really. I mean, as a facilitator of the undergraduate lab, and I now, because we're revamping it a bit, I'm now calling it the Lab for Success. I really feel that I've made a commitment to help you guys in any area, all right? I may not have all the answers. So you may get an email back from me saying, well, I don't know, but here's somebody that can help you, or here's some information, here's a link to. So anything that you might be struggling with, feel free to consider me as a resource in general, not just on the specific topics that I have chosen to present to you, all right? All right, but SQ3R, it's an acronym. It is a word. I don't know how you pronounce weird or what. I don't know what that. How you pronounce that. A lot of times, we have acronyms like what I'm presenting next time, the SMART method, SMART. You could say that as a word, right? A lot of times, and then it stands for specific, measurable, so on and so forth, right? But most of the time, acronyms are also pronounceable as separate words. In this case, yeah, that's going to be very hard to figure out. But it stands for scan or survey. You're absolutely welcome, Jackie, sincerely. Yeah. Question, read, recite, and review. Okay, I found another word cloud. I love word clouds. Sometimes they're a little busy, but it's kind of like Where's Waldo? You look in here and you go, oh, so that's it. You can see in this graphic that they have store. And I don't think they mean it as a bookstore necessarily, although it could be. I think they mean it as in storing or retaining. But it could be either. But what for me is fun about a word cloud is like with this one, it's somebody reading a book. It's the image that has all of these other terms and related concepts in it. So I try to find a word cloud for all of my presentations. Okay, so why do we like SQ3R? The method offers a more efficient and active approach to reading material of all kinds. However, I would modify that to say you probably don't want to use it when you're reading a novel. You don't want to necessarily stop your default process of reading from page 1 to page 5 or page 1 to page 50 or whatever. You want to do that in a linear fashion. I'm talking about technical kinds of articles and textbooks. SQ3R helps to build a framework so that you understand your reading assignment. And this is key. Right here, this is a very key statement where you want to collaborate between the materials. You want to correlate. You want to look at that as a collaboration of your reading assignment and your textbooks or other materials. You're looking for things that will help you gain synergy, okay? As you're reading something, you're already aware. My assignment says that I'm looking for materials on, let's go with project management, all right? And so you're reading your text with a renewed focus. And you're saying, oh, well, I already had that, so here's something that correlates. And again, I'm getting the benefit of the synergy. I'm looking at that and how these two resources improve the dynamics of the learning. Okay, here's how you do it. Before you read, you want to scan or survey. All right. And sometimes, it depends on the article or the resource for SQ3R, but you will see that it's referred to as scan, sometimes skim, sometimes survey. All right. So you want to scan the title, the headings, and the subheadings. And really, a lot of people, too, I know because I've talked to people about this that have implemented this method. At first, they were really resistant. But, I think a lot of it is because we're human and we resist change and we don't see the value of putting in the effort. We don't think that we're going to be able to get back at least what we invest in our time. I can tell you again from what other people have reported to me and what I have personally experienced, this is absolutely worth the little bit of extra time that you take to put this into practice. Okay, so you're scanning the title, okay? Maybe there's a subtitle even, right? You're scanning the headings and the subheadings. You go forward, we're talking about the entire chapter or the entire article. Some of those articles in the library, are 30-some pages long. So that's a lot, right? Maybe even you want to ensure that you're looking at it in the PDF format and then print it out and look at a hard copy. It depends on how well you do with online reading in extended periods of time. Yeah, yes, Jackie, especially with those, oh my gosh, some of those references, they can be 40 and 50 in number, right? So you're absolutely right. Some of those articles is what I call the density, right? They're very, very, have a lot of thick information. So you want to look at the captions under the pictures. That really helps a lot. Sometimes they're not pictures, sometimes they're charts or graphs or maps. But you start looking at it, and what you're doing is you're forming a framework and a foundation. You're starting to put together like pieces of a puzzle so you understand what this article is about. And you're starting to also, when you look at headings and subheadings, sometimes you just also want to look at the things that are bolded. You can, Nicole, I see that you started to type something in and you didn't finish. Did you want to keep typing? If you want me to, I can pause until you finish typing. Yeah, it appears for me in italics when somebody's typing. So, oh, oh, you're trying to eat. You're multitasking, Nicole. I know I've had had more than one student that has been with the kids in the room, and I had this one student who was participating very well for like the first 20 minutes, right? And then something like just gobbledygook, appeared on there, and I went, okay, I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, Margaret. It just, I don't know what this means. And she goes, oh, my 2-year-old is typing. I go, oh, the students get younger every day. But yeah, so totally understand. Yes, exactly. Enjoy. Oh, and you're not sharing any of that with us? How healthy too. Good for you. It's making me hungry. Good for you, Nicole. I'm just very, very appreciative of you being here. So, oh, that's very nice too. Virtually, we'll enjoy it. So yeah, so look at anything in bold because often those are triggers that those are keywords or new information. Maybe it's something that the author has created to describe a phenomenon or a process, right? So, but by doing that, by going ahead and even though again it sounds like, at first, oh, I'm just going to get into it and read it. These steps that you take beforehand with the scanning will help you in total comprehension. When you see some of these, if they are very confusing to you and you say, well, I just read the term and I've read the definition and I still don't know what it means. If it's in a matter of a printed hard copy, you can make a note in the margin, okay? If it's something you want to have online, you can highlight it in yellow and then also make notes, right? Like you can in the textbook. But mark it maybe with a capital Q, like I have a question about that, or maybe I'll put important or go maybe assignment, because again, these are triggers. It's maybe something where you're saying, oh yeah, this is exactly one of the questions I need to answer in the DB. This is awesome, and here it is. Don't take the time to do anything than just make yourself a memory marker. You're just going through sort of the brain collection phase right now. Okay, so and then yes, also take advantage of if there is a study guide. Do the same thing with that. All right, and then read the introductory and the concluding paragraphs. All right, usually they're going to be future tense and past tense, right? Introductory is what I'm going to tell you, and then the body is what I'm telling you, and then the concluding is what I've just told you, right? It should be sort of a pairing of introduction, concluding should be like bookends, right? And then the summary. A summary can tell you a lot. Again, highlight something, put notes in the margin, but don't worry too much if you still don't quite understand everything that you're reading. But you're getting that picture together. All right. Question while you're surveying. This is what I just told you. Turn the title, headings, and or subheadings into questions. Okay? Rephrase things. If it's something that is stated as an absolute, rephrase that, in some way to help yourself, and then put a Q where necessary. Read questions at the end of the chapters. In the study guides, those chapter questions where it says, now what did you think about this, or what could that have, what could have happened here, or what would have happened if it's a history book, what would have happened if Washington ever crossed the Delaware, or just different kinds of questions that really help you get into a more complex view of the information or the situation, right? It all of a sudden becomes that much more valuable, that much more relevant, okay? Read the questions at the end of the chapters or the subheadings. And then ask, what did my instructor say about this chapter? If you've gone to a chat and the instructor has said to you, hey, pay special attention to this section of this chapter, because that will help you with answering DB question number 3 or whatever, or the subject when it was assigned for your IP. What do I already know? What do I already know about this subject? It's good to pause here, too, for just even a few seconds to go, oh my gosh, I just learned all that stuff in the class I had last session. Oh my gosh, that's great because I can really relate to this. Read a section. Now, after you're done with the scanning and the marking up, and I'm telling you, by the time you're done even with the scanning, you're going to see a lot more yellow highlighting than what you thought, right? You don't want to mark everything, but you do want to call attention to it. So as you're reading, you're going to be prompted by those areas. And you're going to look at those notes in the margin and you're going to say, oh, I had a question about that. And one thing about this method is so satisfying. When I first applied this method, what I did learn was that by the time I got done with scanning and I was reading my first, let's say, 3-4 paragraphs, I already was able to connect that with what I knew was the intention of the author, what I knew was in the summary, what I knew was in some of the graphics, and I would stop. If I'm reading and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I saw that picture. Where's that picture? Oh, it's on the next page. I would go look at that and I go back and I read and I go, oh, that's how this connects. Oh, that is how this is related. And that is absolutely a good use of your time. So you're not going to have to be repeating so much, although there is a chance to repeat in this process, but it's a much less tedious process. Okay, and then read to answer the questions in the Q areas. And remember, too, this is also the time that, again, if you see another trigger word, you're keeping your assignment in mind. You don't want to say, I have to learn 100% of all this. No, you don't. You have to learn or at least know where the areas are for you to be able to complete your assignment, because not at all 100% of the material reading is going to be something that you have even time to learn, okay? But you do want to know where you can find that information that is pertinent to what it is you need to accomplish. If only, right, we had all the time in the world and we said, well, I want to be able to learn everything that's in here. It's not very realistic to do that, okay? So, but learning some of it and being able to demonstrate your competency when you do complete your assignment is what your goal should be. Okay, recite. See all these R's. Read, recite, and then we're going to have review. Okay, after you read a section. And this is what's really great. You can actually, you can talk to yourself. You can say this out loud. Do you know that when you say something out loud, you actually imprint in your brain more significantly? And some people, and I am that kind of person, I need to sometimes read something out loud. I need to be, I'm a kinetic learner, but I also am an oral, O-R-A-L, and A-U-R-A-L. Like reading, writing, saying. Hey, Mary, glad you can make it. I'm sorry you must have had some trouble getting in, huh? That's, I hear that. I'm sorry, though, because I know that I had other students that were planning to come in, I mean, notified me like in the last hour or two and couldn't make it. So I'm sorry if you had some trouble, but I'm glad that you're here. Remember, it is being recorded so you can get the rest from the archive. Yeah. But yeah, so I need also to write notes. That's again a connection between writing, the process of writing, and my hand movements that help me to remember things better in my brain. Hey, that's just the way it is. I recognize that, or like, like I said, if you, and I've said this many, many times before, when you recognize you have a challenge, that's the first step to resolving it. So it's never a negative thing to say, I need to do more, or this is where I need to improve. That is always the first step of completing what you need to do to get it done. All right, so again, orally ask yourself questions about what you just read or summarize in your own words. Do you guys do this? Does anybody do this reading out loud? Fabulous. I'm so glad to hear that, Mary. Really. Yeah. And you too, Nicole, huh? Excellent. Really glad. Okay. Well, Jackie, you're the only one. Now we just need to change you, and then we'll have 100% of the participants doing this. Take notes, but write in your own words. What is the best process for that? Do not write out a sentence exactly as it is in the book. Put phrases or bullet points in. That way you won't be tempted. There's two reasons for that. You won't be tempted to just copy and paste and maybe violate some APA types of rules, right? Secondarily, you're giving yourself a chance to see what are the key areas of the information, okay? So don't write it out as it is word for word. Make yourself notes and make sure it makes sense to you. Yeah, I hear you. I do too. Oh my gosh. And of course, I've been called on it, by my sons. They'll give me a hard time on that. But I'll say like, okay, because there's like something, I'll be doing something and I'll say, oops, and I don't have a paper or pencil or whatever, paper or anything. And I'll say, oops, I got to remember that. So I'll say it out loud because then, if I go back to my office or whatever, I can jot it down. But also because it is a matter of the process becoming more efficient for me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and underlining. Yes, yes, what you have. Very, very good. Exactly. Or sometimes even, putting something in quotes, right? If it's something just a little bit odd that that means something to you, right? You developed a system. So it's not just making notes, but underlining them, circling them, putting them in quotes, right? Yeah. Underline or highlight. Now, this is if you've got, okay, you can do the highlighting online, like I said. Okay. I personally prefer when I'm learning something new to have something I'm holding in my hand. Okay. I like to print out the articles and then use old school highlighter, What I have done is, as I'm using this SQ3R method and I've highlighted, right, as I've scanned through, what I have done is as I'm reading, I'll use a different color highlighter, like pink or green or something. By the way, those colors also mean something to me. Usually green, if I highlight, I go, oh, I got to use this. This is absolutely relevant to the assignment. Green, go, But I try not to do too much, and I have to learn not to highlight everything because then every single line is highlighted, right? This is where the SQ3R method is so valuable. If you scan at first, you're not just reading the first time around, because then you'll end up with everything highlighted. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean it that way, but boy, you make me sound really good, Mary. Green for go. G. Oh, Okay, now I have to think of what would yellow be. Yes. Yellow. Oh, that's a good one, Mary. I didn't intend it for it to be, but it's a really, really good way to remember. Yeah, see, Jackie, but I bet you won't. I mean, I really feel confident, honestly, if you adopt this method, you will find that you are highlighting a lot less. Okay? I really do. Yogurt. Lemon yogurt. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if you guys hear that. I have lemon yogurt right in front of me. I'm going to have it when we're done. Yes, I hope that you do sincerely, and I hope that everybody at least tries it, right? Sometimes, it's just like any habit, right? We don't want to adopt things. We don't want to just start all over again. We don't want to say, oh, but I've been reading that way for a long time. Yeah, but how's it working, right? Right? And how much of a benefit is this if it works? So try it. Don't just try it once, though. Try it up to 5 times, all right? And then if you're saying, no, I'm not getting anything from it, then go back to your default. All right. And then review. Okay. Oh, I know. I know. But that, however, is not an acronym, though, like Mary pointed out. That's actually how I've used yellow. Is like tentative, like caution, like, not bad, like red would be bad, right? Stop, that kind of thing. Green for go, but yellow, yeah, that's the way I've been, like tentative, yeah. But Jackie, if you can think of why standing for yellow and standing for something, then we've really got something clever. So that's your assignment. No, that's how they do what a Mission Impossible. That's your mission if you choose to accept it. Anyway, okay, review after you've read a section. Cover the answers. All right? Ask yourself the questions. So in other words, take another piece of paper if you've got a hard copy, right? And cover some of the areas below the subheading. And think to yourself, and you have my permission to say it out loud. Just say, oh no, this instructor told me to do it this way. Say what you can about what's in that area. Look at your assignment list. See what you can do about saying, yes, I remember this. It doesn't have to be exact. It has to be just a connection. So if you can't answer the question, look at your notes. Test yourself again. Once you're sure you know the answer, check it off. You can just put a little line through the question. You got the question answered. Or exit out is what I do. I just. And educational reading is done to acquire information. It's not done for entertainment purposes. But, hey, you can still have fun doing it, and this is fun. All right, here's an example. So let's say you have a big assignment due at the end of the week. It's an individual project. You want to, after you have read and recited the material, gone through that process, write questions in the margins, right, for the areas you highlighted or underlined, however you did that. If you took notes while reciting, write those questions for the notes. Okay. Day 2, reacquaint yourself with the important points. Cover the right-hand column and orally ask yourself, or the left-hand column, however you did that, or the parts of the body, and like I just said, sort of sneaking down, covering some of the text and looking at the headings and subheadings. Orally ask yourself the questions if you've written full questions or you just want to recite, kind of summarize what's in there. And again, you could have your assignment list and say, well, that's a requirement. I should be able to write this in my own way. I should be able to maybe paraphrase, but still summarize and write in my own way what is contained in here. All right. Orally recite or write the answers from memory. Develop mnemonic aids or memory aids. That's what these are. The G, green for go, right? Acronyms, things like that. Whatever you feel is something that you find valuable and can follow. Flashcards. Oh my gosh, Mary, you are like, so create flashcards for difficult concepts. Yes, you're pointing out something that is a key point for me. And guess what? I not only found that it worked so well for me, I used it with my children, and not just with their math, having to learn equations or timetables, but with other things that we were trying to learn on a difficult concept. And the flashcards, I want to say this. This is a caveat. Do not put yourself in a position where you feel like, oh man, again, I can't remember this. No, don't make yourself memorize everything. Don't strive to learn everything like 100% from what you're reading. You've got what you need. The general idea is what you want to get. The understanding, the comprehension. Okay? It's not cheating to go back and to look and say, well, wait a minute, what does the author say about that? In fact, if you question yourself, it's all a part of the learning process. All right? If you can't get it right, you're looking for those connections. You're cementing the questions with the answers more effectively. So again, this is not an exercise to have you improve your memory as it is an exercise to have you develop a method that will help you with your comprehension. Did she really, Nicole? Fabulous, fabulous. So again, all of it is helping your brain work, right? I just don't want you to put it into a negative perspective and say, gosh, I read that already. How come I can't remember that? Don't feel like that. Feel like whatever you are learning is helping, and the way that you're learning it is making new habits that you can then transfer to other courses, other reading type things. Exactly. It's a reinforcement method. Yes, yes, that's an excellent way to describe that. Very good, Mary. Okay, and then days 3, 4, and 5. Alternate between the flashcards and the notes and test yourself. That's if you're getting ready for a quiz. Now, of course, you'd want to take that to the max, right? But if you're writing a paper, again, also what this does is it helps you to know where things are located in your chapter. You know how sometimes you have quizzes that are open book quizzes, right? You can take and you can use your notes or your highlights to be able to find things more quickly. Additionally, kind of an added benefit is that as you're doing that, let's say you're looking at a textbook that has, I don't know, 5 chapters, and you've done it in your first chapter, okay? What you're doing is you're learning the organization method of the author. It'll make it easier because you're more comfortable as you go further into the next chapters. She says she does it with her classes. Oh, is she in school here too at AIU, Nicole? And her 3 to 4. Oh, she's a teacher. 3 to 4-year-olds. Like in her kindergarten or another learning center. They remember things even when they. Isn't that remarkable, Nicole? What an amazing story. And how wonderful she should feel about what she is doing in shaping the brain and the learning patterns for her students. I mean, wow. That is so powerful. I hope she really feels really good about what she's doing. And as those children get into, maybe this is pre-kindergarten or whatever, and then first grade and second grade, having a structure and a good method like this for reading helps to form the foundation for a structure for learning. Jackie, isn't that true? And personally, I'm going to tell you something which you guys are just going to go, oh, gosh, I really can't stand her anymore. I love math. I love statistics. Because to me, it was so satisfying to be able to solve an equation and feel like even in geometry I could handle proofs. It put closure on it, all right? But so many people, if you say math, they get anxiety, right? And I personally blame it on the teachers. They didn't really do a good enough job to help students learn. And so, Jackie, when you say that, I meet so many students that didn't get the proper foundation when they had the early years, and they either hated school, hated math, most of them, if they hated a subject, it was math. It caused anxiety and may have, in some cases, of course, I've had more than one conversation with students where their experiences with math, let's say if they were negative, directed and redirected their careers. So, oh no, I don't want to do that, So it is really a serious thing. And if you can go back, and sometimes students have done this, And I particularly had a negative experience when I first took statistics, and I went back and I relearned it like even like 3, 4 years, almost 4 years later. Once I got comfortable with it, I appreciated it more, right? And I made up for that. And I think I had a poor instructor. That's really how I feel. Was that was not a good experience. But I gave myself another chance, and I'm just really happy that I did. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're absolutely right, Mary. So unfortunately, some teachers do that where they encourage you to do something just one way to get that exact answer rather than looking, are you in the process of learning? Can there be more than one answer? All right? So yeah, I think you guys all can relate to that, Yeah. You don't get math at all, Nicole? You sound like just the kind of challenge I love. Now, I don't want to hear that anymore, all right? But I'm confident that you can learn to love it. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind. All right, and then on the weekend, so here's our last part of our application. Create a table of contents, list all the topics and subtopics. That's your own creation. And then make a study sheet, recite the information orally and in your own words. This is, again, sometimes more pertinent for getting ready for a quiz or a test rather than for writing a paper. But you can see how this can help you also with your paper, just like creating an outline. Sometimes I don't like outlines because they incorporate too much, too much information. All right. So, and sometimes they're a little too rigid. All right. Like the number one, and then there's A's, and, sometimes, it feels like we put too much time into making sure that it's correct structurally. Whereas the SQ3R method gives us the opportunity to say, I'm going to write down what I choose to write down, and I'm going to look at that and say, what can I get as far as a benefit, and is it relevant? All right, so, and then this is it. SQ3R is a successful study strategy which helps you to better comprehend what you're reading and studying. And yeah, on your way to success. Yeah, so Jackie, I do too. Can you see though, Jackie, especially if you prefer the free writing, can you see how this method will help you with designing the ideas that are sort of the kernel or the germ, right? To germinate your ideas. Can you see how this method can help you find some key areas that will start your sort of different sections, right? A great way, of course, is the APA method when you write, right? So take your questions and make them into subheadings. Yeah. Yes, it will, Jackie. And I'd love to hear back from you after you've tried it, everybody, and see whether you found it to be valuable. So, but I want to especially thank you for coming in today and just really taking time out. And I know that those students that are listening to this from the archives because they couldn't get in, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sure you're frustrated because I know you intended to come in. But that happens sometimes, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Okay. All right. I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And everybody, we're going to Nicole's house for, was that Nicole or Jackie? Who was that had dinner? The chicken and the rice and green beans. Delicious. We'll be over in a few minutes. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming by. Oh, it's Nicole. Yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful too. Those are delicious. So are the Mary Calendar ones. Yeah. Yeah. I love those. Yeah. All right, you guys. Okay. See ya.